Welcome, everybody, to the first Virtual South Summit of 2021. And this one is called Healthcare and Wellbeing. Now, healthcare. Let me tell you, and some of you may have seen this on the LinkedIn recently, but Madrid ranked number 2 in the world in terms of healthy cities, in the top 20, number 2. So we're lucky to be here. Maria, are you with me? Can you hear me, Maria? Are you on mute?
I hear you very well.
Oh,
Do you hear me now?
I hear you perfectly, Maria.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new edition of Virtual South Summit. We are so happy to be here, Paris, to be here together with so many friends and just starting this new edition. I think that it would be impossible not to start with health and well-being during this year of a pandemic. And thank God, COVID starts being a little bit better. So Paris, what do we have for today? How we can congratulate everyone to be joining us today?
Yes, Maria, we have an amazing program for today. As you say, we could not start with anything but healthcare and well-being with everything that's going on out there. And as Maria says, it is getting better. We're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We've got 5 amazing startups from all over the world. They're going to pitch today. We have some amazing discussions with some amazing speakers. And we have a keynote, which is really amazing. But before we go to our keynote, I want to introduce Nacho Mateo, who's going to talk to us about why this is so important. And he's one of our main sponsors here representing IE University. Nacho.
Hello, Paris. How are you doing? Well, first of all, I want to welcome all the attendees on behalf of IE University. And I also want to congratulate the South Summit team led by Maria Benjumea for their great work with these virtual South Summits that we are going to organize together from today until June. So let me also thank our guest speakers for being here today. We have a fantastic lineup of speakers representing the health and well-being sector. And of course, thanks to the startups participating today in the startup competition. I'm sure that you guys are going to do a fantastic pitch in front of the jury. So I think we all agree that we are in a historic moment for innovation in the healthcare and well-being sector. And it is essential to continue supporting the collaboration with the entrepreneurial community. At IE University, we had very clear our role as an academic institution. And that way, every day we encourage research, we encourage entrepreneurship, and we encourage our students to face the new challenges that current times impose on us. So entrepreneurship and innovation are part of the DNA of this institution. And we are very happy to organize these initiatives together with the entrepreneurial community. As Paris knows, our doors are always open to those who lead a positive change and to those who keep innovating despite the difficult times we are living. So let's get this party started. Welcome everyone to the IE War Room, and I hope you enjoy the event as much as I do. So Paris, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Nacho. Maria, do you want to say a few words before we get started? All right. Okay. Moving right along. Our first guest speaker, our keynote address, is by someone that I'm sure you're going to agree is just incredible that we're able to have someone with us like this. César de la Fuente. Let me tell you a little bit about César de la Fuente. He is the Presidential Assistant Professor at the University of Pennsylvania. He has pioneered the development of the world's first antibiotic designed by a computer with efficacy in animal models. He has also developed his own and invented a rapid low-cost diagnostics for COVID-19 and other infectious diseases. I had the pleasure of having a discussion with him a few days ago, and I'm really happy that he's with us here today. César, how are you?
Hi, Paris. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. It's great to be a part of the summit.
Okay, let's get going, César. César, you're from Galicia, right?
Yeah, that's right. Northwest of Spain, from a city called La Coruña, right on the coast. Beautiful. if you haven't been there. Yeah, so that's where I grew up, surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean and by amazing food.
Amazing food. And we had a chance to talk about that the other day. I was able to discover La Coruña this year because with this pandemic, I was stuck in Spain. Now, there are probably worse places you could get stuck, right? Well, I got stuck in Galicia. So, Cesar, let me ask you, what took, I mean, you're what, 35 years old right now? Yes? You're muted, Cesar.
Yeah, I just turned 35.
You just turned 35. So tell me about your journey. How does a young man leave La Coruña and become one of the top, inventors, medical doctor, not medical doctors, but one of the top scientists in this mess that we're going through right now? You happen to be there at the right place at the right time in Philadelphia. But tell us about your journey that got you to Philadelphia.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've always just followed my curiosity. I did my undergrad in biotechnology and bioengineering, and then I moved to Canada when I was, in 2009 to pursue my PhD in microbiology and immunology. I had a great time there in the city of Vancouver. It's another beautiful city. I've been very privileged to have been to living in really great cities throughout my life. And in Vancouver, you have both the mountain and the ocean, so it's quite spectacular. And from there on, I wanted to learn new things and develop new skills. And so I moved to MIT, where I was a fellow in the fields of synthetic biology and computational biology. And I had several amazing years there, where I, again, had the privilege of being surrounded by really great people, and I had the opportunity to learn a lot during those years. And from then on, I was recruited by the University of Pennsylvania to become a presidential assistant professor, and that's my current position right now. But I mean, basically throughout those years, I've just been very perhaps pathologically curious about learning more and more about the different projects that I was pursuing. Most of them, around infectious diseases and figuring out ways of studying them and detecting them and treating these infections, mostly caused by bacteria. But more recently, of course, as you know, we've developed technologies for diagnosing COVID-19 and other infections.
So tell me, Cesar, what was going through your mind at the beginning of 2020 when you saw that this was starting to become a problem in the world? I mean, did you ever foresee it was going to become such a big problem?
No, not really. I still remember myself thinking, when March hit at the very onset of the pandemic, I remember thinking, maybe 1 month. Okay, let's just stay at home for 1 month and see what happens. And I'm sure a lot of us here can agree that probably that was our mindset at the moment. But it's just been incredibly difficult. Just the fact that it's been almost 1 year now. It speaks to the resiliency of humans, though, in a way. But in terms of my research, we were working on ways of trying to diagnose bacterial infections. And when the pandemic hit, we definitely felt this sense of responsibility to try to contribute something to the world, to try to resolve some of these issues with COVID-19. And so we had a number of brainstorming sessions very early on in March last year between me and with my team, and we decided to utilize some of the technology that we had been using for detecting, in this case, COVID-19. And we knew that two parameters that we really needed to hit was we needed something that was very cheap, very low cost, so that anybody could use, not only people with economical means, but anybody in even low income settings or individuals that live in developing countries. And so we knew we needed that, and then we knew we needed something that was fast, because one of the keys, in my opinion, for preventing the spread of of SARS-CoV-2, the virus, is to be able to identify infectious individuals. And so in order to do that, you need a test. Amongst other things, you need the mask, you need all these different tools that we've been able to develop, right? But you need a test that allows you to do high frequency testing, so you can very readily identify individuals that are infectious and that may spread the disease to other, throughout the population. I think that's one of the keys of this pandemic that we really haven't done a good job at doing yet. Prevention is key, and again, that ties in with the theme of this summit. Health and well-being, right? A lot of health and well-being is preventing, and we know that through our own health, exercise, diet. Those are excellent ways of preventing future disease. And in this pandemic, like I said, tools like wearing masks, preventing the spread through high-frequency testing are key things that we have at our disposal right now to prevent further spread of COVID-19.
Okay, well, moving right along, Cesar. Now, you said this theme is healthcare and well-being. Let's talk about well-being, because a lot of people are saying that the next wave that we're going to see is about mental health. And we're already starting to see that young people are really going through a difficult time, and so are the elderly. So let's talk about mental health and young people. What advice do you give young people who are feeling a little bit desperate or a little bit like, this is probably, for young people today, I just imagine it because, I was fortunate enough that when I was young, we could get out, we could do anything we wanted, we were full of crowds. How do you help people today that are going through so much pressure because of this situation with respect to mental health? What's your advice?
Yeah, I would first of all say that you're not alone. I feel like everybody has felt, down throughout this process, just by the lack of connection with family and friends. So basically, you're not alone. We're all in the same boat together. And but I think I would try to look at the world in a positive light. There's so many interesting, fascinating things out there that we can, unveil and uncover. In science and technology, there's a tremendous amount of work to do. You may think of new technologies such as diagnosing infectious diseases, trying to develop vaccines. We've seen how an entirely new technology based on RNA, messenger RNA, has really come to the surface to really save us, right? Through these new vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna and others, where the technology is completely different from anything that was previously done. And we've been able, through this breakthrough, we've been able to generate vaccines in 10 months, as opposed to the typical average to develop a vaccine, which is 10 years. So that has been amazing. I mean, there's a lot to be positive about. There's a lot to be excited about. I think artificial intelligence is also an entire area that I think is going to be critical in our ability to design new medicines in the future. That's something that in my lab we're working on actively. The microbiome is also a very interesting area where the bacteria that live in and on our bodies, they influence our health and disease. And so how can we modulate them in ways that we can enhance our health and well-being, right? So there's a lot of things to be very excited about. I would encourage the younger ones to get involved in innovation. We need the new generations to get, to be the leaders of tomorrow. We not only need soccer players, football players, and people like this, but we really need the future scientists and engineers that will make our world better. We've totally seen that in the context of this pandemic, science is key, right? It allows us to survive literally situations of crisis such as the one that we're living. So I don't know. That's what I would say. But bottom line, you're not alone. Everybody has been suffering a substantial amount through this process, and we'll get through it.
Okay. So one final question. And I think we discussed this the other day, and I was, when you said to me, actually it was one of my neighbors next door that's, came up with a vaccine. There are some people out there that still question how safe this new approach is, this RNA messenger that you call. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if I think about it from a scientific perspective, I think it's very safe. Typical vaccines, you have an attenuated virus, which what it means is you have the entire virus live, and you basically take out some of the antigens that are on the surface of the virus to make it attenuated or less virulent, so less harmful. And they basically, you inject yourself with that, and that helps you build up an immune response to the virus over time that allows you to build up immunity that you need to prevent subsequent infection. In this case, messenger RNA is basically the genetic material of the virus. So it's not even the virus with its capsule and all that, but it's just the genetic material. And the way this technology works is that in this messenger RNA, it's a code. So you can codify anything you want. And what Pfizer and Moderna have done is they've encoded in that RNA, messenger RNA, they've coded the spike protein, which is the main antigen on the surface of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. And so basically what happens is this RNA is actually very fragile. So when you put it in the body, it degrades immediately. Nothing will happen. And scientists for many, many years struggled with this question. And they finally figure out through a technological advance that the best way to get this RNA into the body was to actually protect it from degradation, to encapsulate it in a little capsule that scientists call nanoparticles. Basically, they're extremely small particles. You basically put the RNA inside so that it doesn't get degraded as it travels through the body, and once it enters your cells, your cellular machinery will actually take that RNA, recognize it, and translate it into a protein, to the spike protein, which is the antigen that will elicit the antigen from the virus that will elicit an immune response. And so we're not even using, these vaccines don't even use attenuated viruses, they just use genetic material. So the likelihood of that having any sort of adverse effect is, as far as I can tell from a scientific perspective, very minimal. So I definitely encourage people to get vaccinated, and so that we can all get through this terrible pandemic and look at the future, at better days.
And just by the way, you're getting vaccinated very soon, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm getting my second shot this Friday, actually. My whole team has received the vaccine already because we are involved in a clinical trial for our COVID test. And so we're exposed to COVID samples from patients day in and day out. So that was the reason why we've received the vaccine. But yes, I'll get my second shot on Friday. It's the Pfizer vaccine. So again, it's mRNA, messenger RNA based, and yeah, I'm excited for it.
Great. Cesar, thank you so much. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you soon back in Spain at some point. All right, let's move right along. So you heard it first. That was probably the best explanation of the difference between the standard vaccine and the RNA messenger vaccine. And you heard it first here on South Summit. All right, let's continue. And now for the most exciting part of this event, which is the startup competition. We now have 5 startups that are going to pitch, and we're going to be measuring them on the following criteria: innovation, scalability, team, viability, and investor readiness. So let's introduce very quickly some of our key judges. We have Sara Pedras from Merck. We have Javier Murillo from Ferrovial. We have Mariel Vasquez from Savia. We have Samartha Shekhar from 630. We have Christy Curie from Elmarks. And we have Enrico Milis from Project A, plus another 10 or so jury members that are going to join us. And now, let's begin. Our first startup comes from the country of Portugal, and it is being represented by Ana Vanessa Ferreira, the developer. It is called Best Health for You. And now let me tell you what they do. Best Health for You is bringing a new generation of remote wound monitoring devices to the market. Join me in welcoming Best Health for You.
We are Best Health for You, and we are presenting our latest development, Adhesive AI. One of us will have a problematic wound in our lifetime, and 60% of the wounds, they take longer than 3 months to heal. These are known as chronic wounds. They can happen after surgery in diabetic patients, in elderly and disabled people, but they can also come from traumatic injuries. The current cost of a chronic wound can reach 10,000 euros per episode. And the reason for this high cost is related to the high consumption in nursing care time, hospital bed resources, where 5% of the hospital budget are used to take care of these wounds until now. Best Health for You is bringing a new generation of remote medical monitoring devices to market. It is a smart dressing that connects both patient and doctor, providing a better care and management of the wound. Adhesive AI is our advanced material dressing with treatment and monitoring sensors in situ and in real time, all of this integrated into a digital platform for the doctor and for the patient. We divide the technology in two components: the hardware, the wearable sensor adhesive, that consists of two highly innovative layers. On the bottom, a nano adhesive, and on the top, a printed sensor that detects the molecular changes and deformation through a change on the pattern that can be easily detected and photographed by the patient without removal of the dressing. And then the software with the prediction algorithm combines the information of the wound and informs about the status of the wound healing to the patient and to the doctor. Adhesive AI surpasses the current solutions in the market. It's providing a better care and management. It is faster, more time effective, and cost effective management tool. The business model of Best Health for You is business to business, where we provide this technology to medtech companies through the patent licensing of the hardware and the software as a service. Adhesive AI provides a solution to two segmented markets: the advanced wound care and the wearable healthcare devices. We are very proud of our achievements, and even though our product is still under development, we already have some initial traction. So far, we have raised 600K in funds, grants, and awards, and now we are looking for a 3.5 million investment to have this product ready to the market. We could not accomplish all of this without a great team behind it and without all high experts and highly recognized institutions, hospitals, and patient organizations. Thank you so much for your attention.
All right, it's time for Q&A. Jury members.
Happy to
Laurent?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your pitch, Anna, and congratulations for your project. My question is about your milestones. Which has been your main milestone to date, and what should be the next milestone of value for the project?
Yeah, so far we have been testing the adhesive component, the part that interacts with the skin and the wound environment, and it provided a 30% stronger adhesion and interaction with the skin through water molecules. And it also allowed us to, in a way, be 20% safer in terms of disruptive of the skin itself, of the removal. And now we are using these components and we are incorporating the sensors itself of the mechanical. I mean, I cannot share much at this time, but we are preparing a patent where we will make these results available. But so far we could detect a 0.1 micro deformation of the wound. So we are also developing the software with another institution that are experts in wound healing. The software will also be a patent. So I would say that our next milestone is regarding the IP. And once we achieve the full prototype development, characterize it in the wound environment and skin cells, that would be, in a way, the stage that will completely boost the technology.
All right, thank you. I think we got time for one more question, jury members. Any takers?
If I may, this is Samarth from 630 Ventures.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Thanks for the presentation, Anna. Do you see a correlation also with, I think, let's say diabetes and, the time or the complications that arise because of such diseases for, probably it takes longer or gets more complicated if somebody already has diabetes? And do you see that as a, way to market, because there are quite a few solutions in the market right now around diabetes and management of diabetes, but have you thought of those or let's say sectors or areas in which, let's say, sports and so on? How are you thinking about go to market basically?
Okay, so regarding go-to-market, so we are thinking on impacting first chronic wounds, and in terms of validation of the clinical part as well, we are first testing the technology in chronic wounds from surgery, which is a much, in a way, they are 20% of this of the whole chronic ones. So we can attack that niche market and then move forward to the other ones, for example, diabetic and pressure ulcers. But regarding of injuries, you mentioned of sport, right?
Right.
Yeah. So regarding of sport application, so specifically, we are developing the device for problematic wounds like chronic. So I would consider sport injuries to be related, for example, for treatments for orthopedic, or even can be from traumatic injuries. So these wounds can also be problematic. But I will, in a way, I have to say that first, the technology is very focused on the chronic wound environment. And once we tackle these wounds, if we can reduce the healing time of these type of wounds, we can also apply to all type of wounds. So preventing the wounds from becoming even chronic on the first place. So
Okay.
traumatic injuries can take much lesser than 1 month to heal, for example.
All right. Thank you very much, Ana Vanessa. All right, moving right along. Running out of time here. Our next startup is called Caresocius. Caresocius is based in Switzerland and is being represented by Stefano Barber, who's the founder and CEO. So what do they do? It is a booking platform for patients with an integrated hospital information system module for the management and the support of international patients in clinics. Join me in welcoming Caresocius.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my presentation. Today, I want to talk to you about Caresocius and how we want to rewire international healthcare, promoting access to healthcare for everyone, everywhere. The idea for Caresocius was born 3 years ago when Mohammed's uncle in Morocco was diagnosed of cancer, and we tried to find him a treatment in Germany. During this time, we've realized how difficult finding and organizing a treatment abroad can be. Reasons for patients to want to go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my presentation. Today, I want to talk to you about Caresocius and how we want to rewire international healthcare, promoting access to healthcare for everyone, everywhere. The idea for Caresocius was born 3 years ago when Mohammed's uncle in Morocco was diagnosed of cancer, and we tried to find him a treatment in Germany. During this time, we've realized how difficult finding and organizing a treatment abroad can be. Reasons for patients to want to go abroad is because national healthcare may not be satisfying, meaning that the price of the treatment, the timely availability, or the quality provided is simply not satisfying. On the other hand, clinics and doctors would like to acquire more international patients, but this takes a lot of work and is expensive. Current players in the market, such as medical travel agencies, have no solution to efficiently communicate and manage their patients. For this, we've developed our platform, which starts with the Global Health Guide for patients, which allows them to find a treatment according to their wishes and medical needs. It allows to get world-class health advice and second opinions at the touch of a button. Furthermore, we help our patients organize their health journey abroad and provide them with a secure medical record to give them control of their medical data. We have a review and question system in place in order to promote trust within our community. Here you can see an example of how the virtual second opinions can be given using telemedicine. On the other hand, we have our management and support solution for clinics, which allows them to receive treatment requests, allows for international positioning within our user base, and allows for customer interaction before, during, and after the treatment to ensure its success. Our business model is based on a license strategy where we take it starts with a free license and can go up to $8,000 annually for the clinic, depending on the organization's wishes and needs. The market and industry we're in is the health and travel market, which is expected to reach $208 billion by 2027. Our target customers are hospitals and clinics and doctors within Europe and Switzerland. On the other hand, our patients are generally multimorbid silver surfers and are from the middle or upper middle class. The patients we're targeting generally come from the Gulf region. Our highlights so far are that we've raised $110,000 in pre-seed funding. We've been part of multiple startup accelerators and have over 400 clinics in our network. So far, we've helped more than 50 patients receive the treatment that they need and have built up partners in 7 countries and our subsidiary in Bahrain. Here you can see our amazing team. We have an IT and security background. And right now, we're looking for an equity investment of between $100,000 and $500,000 to work on our product, marketing efforts, and profitability. Furthermore, some verticals possible are clinical trials and microinsurances. Thank you.
All right. Do I see any checkbooks out yet? It's only $100,000 or up to $500,000. Any questions from the jury?
Can you hear me?
Yes, hear you perfectly. Enrico.
No, I think Paul wanted to go first.
All right.
Okay.
Paul.
Let me go first. Okay. Yeah, given that you're dealing with a lot of privacy and patient data cross-border, what kind of technology are you employing to kind of safeguard that? Any blockchain, or what are you doing to do that?
Mute. I think you've got mute on.
Okay. So far, we've not been using any blockchain technology, but we've evaluated it and might be using it in the future. For now, we have an expanding key system that fragments the data and keeps it safe.
All right. Thank you. Enrico.
Hi. How do you manage sales on the customer front, so basically on the clinic side?
So far, we've been acquiring the clinics ourselves, but to scale the product more efficiently, we want to work with the players currently in the market, so the medical travel agencies, which have a network of their own clinics that they know and trust, in order to promote them to the patients.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anyone else? I think we got time for a quick question. Here we go. Israel Pons. Mute. You got your mute on, Israel.
Here I am. Yeah, great. Thank you. Sorry about that. Very quickly, you enter in a very crowded market nowadays. There are a lot of solutions that are very similar to you. So tell us exactly who will be your best 3 competitors that you will go against and why.
So there are a couple of platforms that are similar to what we're doing, like Booking Health. But we see that the main competitor that we have is the status quo. So meaning to change the mindset of the people to actually embrace this kind of change in the cross-border healthcare industry. So the market's currently built up with a lot of solutions on a national level, but on international level, there's no dominant player yet. And on top of that, we're targeting a different geographical focus. So we want to focus the GCC region, targeting the Arabic countries, and bring the patients from there to Europe, which is currently not a overserved market.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along. Our next startup is called Esper Bionics. It is represented by Anna Belevantseva, who's the COO, and it is from the country of Ukraine. Esper Bionics has developed the first IoT robotic hand with intuitive control that is 10 times more sensitive and flexible than any other product on the market. Join me in welcoming Esper Bionics.
Hi everyone, I'm Anna, co-founder and COO at Esper Bionics. We are developing a robotic prosthetic hand and software platform to improve control of all prosthetics. Today, prosthetic industry is outdated. There are 5 million hand amputees in the world, and 99% of them don't use any prosthesis or use cosmetic or non-functional one. Often they're trouble, not a solution for them. We aim to replace them with high-functional robotic hand, and due to the connection to our software platform, make them smarter every day. Today, there are other bionic hands on the market, but they cover less than 1% of all cases, mainly because they have simple software and bulky and stable control. They are part of this outdated industry. They are hard to use and long to learn how. We are developing sophisticated, affordable prosthetic hand with updated intuitive control. We have two main differences. First of all, we are focused on prosthetic control technology. Due to the connection to our software platform, our hand will learn the user behavior and change the right grip automatically. So the control will be 3 times faster and improves over the time. The second difference is modular design. We can change different component and part of our hand, and by this way adjust price and cost for different markets. This will help us to have more installment and get bigger data set, and the bigger data set is better control technology. We are a team of 11 for today, with 9 high-skilled engineers, with experience in mechanic and mobile electronic, 2 business experts, and pool of advisors from prosthetic and hardware industry in Ukraine and US. Our main markets are the US and Europe, each worth 400 million euros, and the global market is worth than 1 billion euros. Our business model is B2B2C. We plan to sell our hands through prosthetic clinics, and our software platform will be available through the subscriptions for other vendors. For today, we have the ready product, the MVP of our server part, 3 active users, 60 amputees in waiting list for installations, and employees with 6 prosthetic clinics. We are preparing for testing with Hanger Clinic in April this year and for the certification process. Certification will be simplified for us because our hand is the first-class risk medical device. We believe that in 20 years, the biggest impact for humanity will have implant sensors. And we are going there and think that prosthetic industry will be the birthplace of such technology and is the best niche for start. Thank you a lot for attention. Let's keep in touch. Thank you.
Okay, all hands on deck. Bad joke. All right, so let's see what we got here from the jury. What do we got here, guys? Who's going to ask the question? I mean, this is a robotic hand. This is big. Okay, Albert.
Hello, Anna. Thanks a lot for your pitch. My question is around product roadmap. I see that you focus on hand prosthetics. Do you plan to expand to other type of prosthetics? And also, what are your next milestones?
Hi, Alberto. Thank you for your question. Yeah, we will expand other market, leg prosthesis, exoskeletons, and orthosis. And our main goal is implant sensors market. But the nearest milestones for our company is FDA certification and CE certification in Europe, and going to market to US this year and Europe next year.
Thank you. Do we have another question from the jury? Yes. Javier Murillo.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Anna. Thank you for your speech and all the participants. I was a question regarding the IoT connection. You are thinking to connect through this IoT with voice assistants such as Alexa or Google Home in order to make different commands to the gadgets, or how are you thinking to integrate this into the IoT connection, or it's not in the roadmap?
Our hand can be controlled by voice, for example, or by Alexa or some Google Assistant, yes, but our main goal is to make it intuitive and that our prosthetic hand will learn the user behavior and individual habits of each user and can automatically change the grip. If user just want to take up a prosthesis, just switch the grip for this object. This is the main point of our technology.
Okay, I think we got one more question. Israel Pons.
Thank you. Yes, and I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to make one question, but actually it's two of them. The very first one is: your innovation is on the microprocessor or on the actual hardware of how to control the hand and the movement? And if so, where is the B2B2C? Explain to me exactly how you're going to make money.
Our main technology is on software that we use in machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithm. Hardware, the innovation is about movable design, modular designs that we can switch different part of our hand and easily put on and take on all fingers, all palm, and all the part of hand. This is about first question. And second question, B2B2C, because we can sell through prosthetic clinics, our main partners and distributors, and we can contact directly with customers through our website and customer centers, and can just send our prosthetic hand to them, and they just bring it to their prosthetic specialist and install our hands there.
Okay. Moving right along. Yeah, this is another one that you're probably going to hear for the first time in the history of the world. Alexa with hands. You heard it first here. All right, let's keep going. Flomics Biotech is our next startup. And the pitcher is going to be Joao Curado, who's the CEO. And this startup is from the country of Spain. Now, what do? Flomics has developed a liquid biopsy test that detects warning signs in an accurate, fast, and non-invasive way. Everything out of a simple blood sample. Join me in welcoming Flomics Biotech.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is João, and this is Flomics Biotech. I'm sorry, but I have to start with some bad news. 1/3 of the people watching this pitch is expected to develop cancer at some point in their lifetime. And the worst problem is that we are detecting these cancers too late, which adds a lot of increased mortality and extra costs for the healthcare systems. That is why Flomics is developing a liquid biopsy, which is a revolutionary diagnostic tool. From a blood sample, we can enable early detection, very convenient for the patient and for the healthcare provider, and with a multiple purpose, we can use it for many different indications. So from this moment on, when an asymptomatic individual under some risk factors such as age or family cases of cancer that are affecting them and they want to make sure that everything is fine, this individual can go to the doctor extracts a blood sample, sends this blood sample to our facilities, and with our technology we can make sure that everything is fine, or we can report that we detected some warning signs, for example in the colon. In this case, this patient will be directed to the colonoscopy, which is the standard golden standard diagnosis tool, and in case something malignant is confirmed, we open a surgical option to the treatment, which are much better than the chemotherapy, for example, because we are detecting it in time. We are not alone in this quest, of course, but most of our competitors are looking at DNA. So they are using a molecule that is very static by nature. They can detect if we have a mutation or not, but at Flomics is unleashing the power of RNA analysis for the diagnosis, meaning that we add a third dimension to this to the diagnostic algorithm, so we can make sure that the mutation exists, but also if the gene is activated or not. This is a huge market, growing at 27% and expected to reach 60 billion by 2035. And we have a team of complementary entrepreneurs in order to capture it. So I'm João, PhD in bioinformatics and responsible for the management of the company. We have Esther, that brings her expertise in molecular biology and RNA, and Luis complements us with his vast experience in market access and regulatory affairs. We also have a super team that helps us in the day-to-day operations, and a stellar mentor group that advises in the fields of genomics, oncology, and cloud architecture. So this is Flomics. We are developing a non-invasive, fast and accurate multi-purpose liquid biopsy for cancer early detection in at-risk individuals. Thank you very much for listening. We are based in Barcelona, and please visit us in this beautiful location.
All right. Questions from the jury. Ruben Gonzalez?
Yes. Well, first of all, congrats to the team. You have a huge market opportunity in front of you. And my question is, how are you going to capture it in terms of commercial operations? Do you want to partner with somebody? Do you want to license your solution? What's your approach?
Muted.
So, sorry, from the beginning, in the development phase, we are partnering with clinical partners that work as sample providers. So they're giving us access to the patients that we are using in the validation phase, and these will be the early adopters. Then we will try to expand our usage by using them as a key opinion leaders, but in a scale-up phase in the future, what we plan to do is to partner with central labs in order to expand and to be able to reach the global market, because they are already well implemented inside the hospitals. They have their commercial networks, and we don't want to try to that from scratch. So we'll try to license our technology to central labs.
All right, thank you. And now Bea Makauka. Mute. I think you're muted, Bea. You're muted. Try again. There's a button there for mute? No? In the dashboard? Move the mouse? No? You want to write the question in the chat for us?
Okay, Paris, can I ask one in the meantime?
Sure. All right, Bea, write the question in the chat while we're waiting, Bea. Yes. Dennis? Who wanted to ask the question in the meantime?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was me. I was looking at your competitors. There's one that's called BioGazelle that seems to have something relatively similar. How are you going to differentiate with these kinds of players?
Yeah, so that's a good question. BioGazelle is a company that we are following very closely. In a good thing, in a good way. I mean, we have some ongoing collaborations, and the thing that they changed a bit their focus. Even the technology is also very, very similar in terms of using cell-free RNA for diagnosis or for clinical applications. They are now mostly operating as a service-providing company, and they, from what I know, they abandoned the development of a liquid biopsy for diagnosis. But there are others, not only that, we listed some others. And we believe that our advantage is, first of all, the know-how in the RNA analysis that comes from our backgrounds, in your previous experiences in the academia, etc. And then, because as I said in the previous question, we have strong collaborations with leading hospitals here in Barcelona, but also abroad, that are giving us access to the samples in a fast way, and we think we have some time advantage as well because of that.
All right. Thank you, Joao. We have a question now from Bea in the chat. What type of cancer do you predict now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this we're targeting the 5 more important cancers, let's say, which is colorectal, lung, breast, prostate, and pancreas. At the moment, we have very promising results, especially in the colorectal and lung. The other ones we are still a bit on hold because we need to go over all the developmental phase. But these are the first 5 that we want to combine in our first multi-purpose liquid biopsy.
Okay, thank you. Moving right along now. This is our last startup. Yeah, unfortunately, we have 5, and this is number 5. The company is called NQ Medical. It's from the USA, and the picture is going to be Richie Bavasso, who's the CEO. NQ Medical is a digital biomarker discovery platform for diseases of cognition and motor. Join me in welcoming NQ Medical.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present NQ Medical today. As a quick snapshot, NQ Medical is focused on neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, ALS, and MS, and the people who worry about those diseases. Our solution is unlike health entertainment apps. We're a biomarker discovery platform focused on real-world evidence, regulatory clearance, educating physicians, and then getting it in the hands of patients. The total market we're trying to address is the 500 million people who suffer from these diseases and the folks who worry about it, whose family member may have the disease and warned if they'll be receiving the same symptoms. We have a 4-phase revenue model that we'll share in a moment. To date, we've earned from clients several $1 million, and our funding to date has yielded about 6.2 million to date, and we have a runway till about June 2022. Our goal is to be the most significant digital therapeutic in the brain health category. So what makes us different? First of all, we do not have a proprietary device. Everyone on this call today is using an NQ Medical device. We don't care if it's Apple, Android, Windows. We don't care what language you speak. We don't care anything about your skill in using the device. We also do not have an app. Once this is downloaded on your computer or on your phone, you never see it again. It's a 100% passive data collection tool. And the data that we've been able to generate can focus on early detection of disease, in some cases years earlier than gold standard. It's real-world evidence showing disease progression over time, and because we track disease progression, we can measure the impact of therapy. The unmet need that we're trying to address is the subjective infrequent assessments that are being used currently to manage this disease. We believe that every patient deserves an objective measurement. They should know how they're doing very specifically, and is the therapy working? This is the result of many, many years worth of clinical trials in a variety of prestigious institutions. It's well published in the peer literature, and we've got breakthrough status from the FDA, and we're pursuing similar regulatory clearance for various countries throughout the world. This is a device signature. Everyone on this call has a signature that looks something similar to this. The device signature is unique like a fingerprint. So if we can track differences between normal people, then it's not hard to imagine that when a person has a disease, they look different. And as you can see down below, this is an early stage patients with Parkinson's, de novo, and that same patient 2 years later. There are millions of data points in between this 2-year cycle because we generate a brain health score every 90 seconds. We've been able to delineate and provide unique signatures for a variety of diseases, including AD, MCI, ALS, et cetera. Our business model is 4-phase. We support clinical trials through remote recruitment, tracking disease progression, and showing the impact of therapy. We aspire to be a companion diagnostic with the therapeutic. COVID has turned us into a remote patient monitoring platform, and we're supporting additional data in the patient's longitudinal record. Our goal is to provide an intersection between life sciences companies, healthcare companies, and technology companies. Thank you very much.
All right. Q&A time. Sarah Pedraz from Merck.
Yes. Thank you for your presentation. From my side, my question is about the digital biomarkers, because we are in an era where everyone is launching digital biomarkers, for example, for diseases like MS. So why yours is better and how it can help physicians and patients?
Okay, well, the fastest way to answer that is think about adherence. If I require you to buy a device, if I require you to respond to a task every day, the fatigue factor is very quick. With us, it's you download it, you forget it, you never see it again, and thus the adherence of data collection is 100%. And it's also unbiased in the wild. So the barrier to entry or the opportunity for access is very high. I can tell you that from the science side, these are well vetted and studied and obviously highly regulated biomarkers. So, we feel strongly that the science supports our claims.
Okay, we have a question from Christy Curry. Chrissy? All right. Sarah?
Yes.
You finished your question, right?
Yes.
All right. Mariel Vasquez.
Hello, this is Mariel. I wanted to ask you if you are dealing with the thing that people that are more likely to suffer from cognitive and motor diseases may not be heavy users of mobile phones and other devices. So how do you handle that?
Okay. Yes, a very common question. And if we look at the age range of the people we focus on, say age 45 to 65, we focus on early diagnosis, tracking disease progression, and showing the impact of therapy. By the time a person gets to a state of debilitation where they're not using a device, that is outside the scope of what we can do. However, in our R&D roadmap, we're building what we call a matrix. So we're bringing in other sensors, whether that be accelerometer, facial recognition, voice recognition. Our belief is keystroke dynamics, this is where we are today, plus voice recognition yields a better score. Accelerometer plus facial recognition might yield a better score. So we're on a discovery journey to figure out what combination of sensors will address those fringe populations you described, whether too young or too old.
All right, thank you. Chrissy, you want to try one more time? Chrissy, do you have the mute on? No. Sophia?
Does it work now?
Yes.
Okay, great. My question is kind of around your commercialization strategy and how, you know, you guys have done a lot of work around the clinical validation, but do you foresee barriers in people being willing to have this on their devices, especially early on before they, you know, maybe haven't even been diagnosed? You know, they may have something or they may not. You know, people are becoming more and more wary around, you know, who has access to this sorts of information. So just curious about you.
No, that's an excellent question. And I can tell you, we're, you know, expanding east. So we're well operating in the US, where our base of operations will be in Madrid, Spain, and we have a lot of activity in Japan. In Japan, they use our device not for the patient. They use it for the children of the patient, the people whose mother or father has one of these neurodegenerative diseases and are worried about it. So in that particular regard, they're motivated. And from a commercialization strategy, supporting in partnership with insurance companies, with providers, with pharmaceutical companies, those are people who opt in, you know, in a clinical trial or the like. We have not yet encountered what I would say an unmotivated patient. So we're not going direct to consumer. We're not trying to get a larger population to download this thing and not understand the genesis of what they're downloading. That may come down in the future, but right now, most of our people are motivated to be involved in data sharing. We also have built our application where the user permissions who gets to see it. So they can permission no one, they can permission their family member, they can permission their clinician, and so on. But they have total control of who has access to their data.
All right, thank you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so let's continue. Now we're having a conversation with Sara Pedras from Merck. Sarah, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
All right.
Harry.
Well, Sarah, as I think I said earlier, she's the innovation manager at Merck Group.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've launched a new challenge and you're looking for AI startups. Can you tell us more about that? You mute? I think your mute's on.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Perfectly.
Okay, so as we have seen today, there is a huge potential and progress that we can incorporate into the healthcare sector. And from our side at Merck, we are a science and technology company, and we believe that the progress is unstoppable, as all the startups have shown today. And that's, as you have mentioned.
The mute? I think you're mute.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. So we have just launched the Fast Forward program because we want to incorporate and start working with artificial intelligence startups. And we want to challenge startups and innovative companies willing to help healthcare professionals working in oncology. There is one data that scared me. According to the Spanish Society of Medical Oncology, almost 30 million people in Spain will have cancer by 2040. So it's in 20 years, half of the population. So we think that tomorrow is going to be late, and we need to collaborate now to start and to overcome this. So we are launching this challenge with the goal of finding AI solutions to accelerate prevention, diagnosis, treatment and monitoring of oncological diseases, and to facilitate the work of healthcare professionals, the ones that are increasing the well-being of patients. So I want to encourage all the companies to apply in movingfastforward.es until April 8th to start working together.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Moving right along now. Okay, and now we're going to have a fireside chat. And this fireside chat is going to be between Briga and Humanity. So let me tell you more about this. Ben Merrill is the founder and managing partner at Briga, which is a specialized VC in financing early-stage tech startups. Startups such as some of the ones you've probably heard of, Curve, Kuva, Exotech, IBEN First, Undelve, or 99, with the aim of propelling these startups to global success. And we also have Michael Gear. He's a serial tech entrepreneur, having amassed over 1 billion users. You heard that, 1 billion users, with Badu and Anchor Free, and even more revenue over his years building meaningful consumer-focused technology. He's also the co-founder of Humanity, which is a health tech startup with a mission to slow people's aging. Can you believe that? And help them live a healthier life. So with that, we're going to start this fireside chat between Briga and Humanity. Unmute, please. Ben?
Yep, I think, hey, buenas tardes a todos. It's a pleasure to be here today. I think we originally had Michael kicking off, so I just want to make sure Michael is on.
There. Michael, unmute. You're muted, Michael. Michael, can you hear me?
Okay, I'm going to kick it off, and Michael, maybe I think it's on the bottom of your browser. There's a bar with different logos, and you can put your mic on there. So, but let me just kick it off. It's a pleasure to be here. Unfortunately, again, on video, I would have preferred to be in Madrid. I mean, South Summit has always been pretty amazing to us at Briga. We always meet with pleasure with a lot of friends down in Iberia, and it's a fun story and a fun fact. But at the last 2019 South Summit, that's when I met Michael for real. So that was that's part of the story of Humanity and Briga.
All right, Michael, are you able to unmute there? Try speaking now. Let's see. Can you hear me, Michael?
Okay, so while Michael is trying to figure this out, let me tell you a little more about the health tech industry, and I know you guys are pretty specialized and knowledgeable in the space. But if you look at what's been going on in Europe, we currently have around 700 companies, looking at the space and trying to change the world of health tech. And this number is, it's pretty amazing in the sense that it's been growing massively, and 60% of them have been created in the last 5 years. So, I mean, just to give you an idea of the trend, and that's a trend Humanity has been surfing, and with a very different angle and a very specific value proposition that Michael is going to talk about.
Okay, well, while we're waiting, Michael, I think we got you.
Still not? Oh, awesome. I got rid of all my Bluetooth. I turned it all off. Yeah, so I just, because I missed a little bit of that, but I wanted to, I mean, South Summit's been pretty amazing for, I don't know if Ben touched on it, but for both me and Ben. So just, yeah, thank you for having us. My last memory of South Summit was both, we were raising funds for humanity at the time. So this is end of 2019. I was over in Madrid, and two big things. One, I got a call as I was leaving doing a panel at South Summit. One of our biggest angels, Tavit Henriquez, who founding team of Skype, did TransferWise. And then later that night was the first time that I spent a lot of time with Ben, actually. We had a very long dinner and went through every single angle of what we were, trying to build. So that was a good memories of South Summit, and also kind of the genesis of the beginnings of humanity being a real thing and not just a concept in me and Pete's head. So yeah, great to be here.
I think you can go on, Michael. I already covered the trend in health tech in Europe with the number of startups and growing. So I think it's time for you to tell us more about what humanity does.
Yeah. So as you touched on with the intro, we wanted to build an app that basically did two very simple but important things. One is actually be able to monitor your rate of aging. So we all, I think I'm talking to a group that all kind of gets the concept. I heard some people, talking about this before. You want to be able to know how fast you're aging, and that needs to be a fast, feedback loop. And then the other side of that is empowering people to actually be able to slow it down. And we do that through basically guidance of what lifestyle actions, but instead of kind of like a one and off, we continually update that guidance as we're giving you an updated rate of aging. And that happens every single day through the app. The biggest reason that kind of, so as you touched on, 1 billion users. So, me and Pete were consumer tech folks. I started Badoo, which was one of the biggest dating sites in the world, on the founding team. Pete started a huge social network. Both of us were feeling quite, feeling quite good in 2010. We had this business success. We had, we were in our late 20s, so you're feeling pretty invincible anyway. And then both of us in those years, right around that same time, got hit with some tragic health events in our families. And at that moment, as we all know on this video conference, at that moment you realize that there's nothing that important. Like health, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And so that in 2010, 2011 started our journey towards creating humanity.
And so maybe to give some perspective of, around the overview of the COVID impact on health tech. Obviously, if you look at it from an investor perspective, and maybe for those of you who don't know Briga, we are one of the very rare VC firms in Europe, created by founders only. So, I'm an entrepreneur, and the rest of the team is as well. So it's always, interesting for us to sort of look at trends and look at companies we could have created ourselves. And the funny, and both tragic fact of COVID, or impact of COVID on health tech, is that, people realized all of a sudden that, to fight against the virus, we're still, using kind of prehistoric, solutions like masks and stuff and social distancing. And, we haven't been helped much by tech yet. And that's one of the reasons why people realized there should be a future of work, because, people were locked down and had to work from home. But there should be a future of education for your kids, and obviously a future of health. And I think that's one of the main accelerators of the whole trend. And, if you look at numbers, I think, overall investment in the VC space kind of below the 40 billion mark in 2020. So, a lot of investments overall, growing 15% a year, more or less. So despite lockdown, companies have been able to raise money still. And 15% on a mature market is still a big growth rate. But health tech in general have been, raising 60% more. Like, we're talking big numbers now. Everyone is realizing that there is a trend to be followed, and COVID is obviously underlying the fact that, you know, health in general should be digitized, right? It's obviously much more complicated. There's still, you know, some needs around physical interactions and proper operations, you know, but to the extent that, you know, there's a new generation of doctors, a new generation of nurses, and the digitization of population, you know, I think it's definitely a trend we're going to see in the next few years, and there's an amazing opportunity for people trying to tackle this.
Yeah, I think what Ben, you know, touched on is that kind of, you know, direct to consumer. What we saw when we were thinking about, so at first we weren't going to, you know, start a health tech startup. We just wanted to personally know more about the space. But what we started to see is that you have all these breakthroughs that happen in science, but they're not necessarily, you know, brought directly to the user, or they're, you know, brought 20 years later as opposed to, you know, right away. The paradigm that's, as you know, I think I'm speaking to the choir. I heard some of you, you know, talking about your startups before. You know, the paradigm that we had before, where we can't monitor people, and so we need to look at general population statistics, and we need to give general population advice. We don't need to use that paradigm anymore, right? We have the ability to monitor people at different levels. So starting with, you know, your phone in your pocket, then your wearables, and then, you know, other testing and DNA methylation and blood testing and all that. But we're able to monitor people at different levels. We're able to be radically inclusive in that and get it to millions of people, hundreds of millions of people. And so then we can start to make, you know, health and preventative health, especially, decisions based on that data that's coming back. And that's what we're starting to harness with humanity. The other big thing that I'll just touch on real quickly is we have these great data sets now, these longitudinal data sets, where we have these biomarkers, we have the accelerometer, we have the blood test, and then we have the future health outcomes, you know, going forward from those. You're able to create really predictive models from that. And then it's just a question, can we bring that directly to people? And that's what we're trying to do.
And you know, maybe last point here, I think, you know, you always have to put things into perspective, right? But I remember a few months back, there was this debate around, you know, apps to track you and make sure that you weren't in contact or were not in contact with people sick, and you know, there was a big debate around freedom and our right to be free, and the downside of this is that people refuse to download these apps and you know, ended up locked down for months at home, right? So you really have to put something, you know, into perspective sometimes and figure out, yes, you know, having an app that tracks you and who you meet isn't ideal for sure, but at least it gives you the capacity to keep on living a normal life versus the one we're living today. So you know, for you guys to think about.
Yeah, I would just, because you know, I ran one of the largest consumer VPNs in a past life. What you don't want to do ever is kind of act as if there's a decision of one thing or the other, because yes, life, sometimes you need to balance things. And so, you know, Ben brings up a great example of this case where, you know, you can actually have provable privacy. You can have things stored locally. You don't need to bring things to a local database that then is owned by the government or someone else, right? You can actually do all that monitoring. I mean, HealthKit from Apple, I won't speak to Apple's, you know, privacy everywhere, but like, HealthKit is a great example, and Apple's done a great job with it, where it's collecting all that data locally on your device, right? And so it's not going to some, you know, central database. And so to empower people with that monitoring on their local device is a possibility, right? And then for the app on that local device, not at some central server, on that local device to actually be able to give you guidance is a very possible with, you know, today's machine learning, right? And so that's where we should head to, that edge computing, if you want to start using buzzwords in AI, that happens on the edge to empower us, right? It doesn't need to be some, you know, huge database somewhere.
Agreed. So guys out there who are working on the next health tech companies, please bring it on.
Yeah, and I would be remiss to say that you know, Briga is one of the best partners that we have in the space. You know, Ben and a bunch of his partners are operational VCs, as they say. You know, they've been there, done that with their own startups. So yeah, I would recommend if you're looking for investment in the health tech space, definitely check them out.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Ben. Great talk. Appreciate it. All right, moving right along. I'm delighted to be able to have with us today 2 South Summit alumni and both winners of previous editions of the South Summit. We have with us Rocio Arroyo. She's CEO of Amadix. She's a global winner of the South Summit 2018. Amadix is a leading molecular diagnostics company focused on developing innovative diagnostic tests for early cancer detection in blood. And we also have Eduardo W. Jorgensen, CEO of Medixen, the winner for the most innovative startup for the South Summit 2020. Medixen has developed a needle-free smart patch for the painless drug delivery through the skin. So let's begin. Rocio, are you there? Mute. I think you got mute on, Rocio.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Rocio. All right, ladies first here. Rocio, I got a few questions for you. How has Amadix evolved during this time since you participated in the competition?
Well, a lot of things start happening from the day after we were global winners of South Summit a couple of years ago. And I would highlight connectivity. We were contacted by many private investors, by newspapers, radio programs, also quite a few families affected by cancer. And we decided to set up a crowdfunding campaign. We raised $1.5 million just in a few days. And also we went to Silicon Valley to attend a US landing program by the Spain Technology Center. So many things were going on in parallel from that moment.
Just a few little things, right? Raising $1.5 million and, just little stuff. Wow, congratulations. And how about you, Eduardo? Because I heard that you closed an investment round last year. Are you looking for a new one now?
Oh, yeah, we did. We closed the round last year. Sorry, can you repeat? I stepped over you.
No problem. I'm just saying, are you looking for a new round? Did you finish the first round or do you still have money left?
We have money left, but a good entrepreneur never stops looking for funding. We did close a round last year. It was great because we were able to prove that the technology works in a live pigs. So following from that, we raised a lot of interest, and we ended up with 750,000 euros in the round, more or less, plus around 200,000 euros in public funding. So it was a great year for us last year, and that has allowed to move forward in the electronic testing of the device. We have the final design much more orientated, and now we have everything ready to start with the big trials in pigs prior to summer. So very, very thrilled to do it.
All right, good. So I want to talk about COVID-19. 2020 was a very difficult year for many companies. What about you guys? Rocio, what happened in the area of early detection of cancer last year?
Yeah, the fact is that the pandemic is bringing a significant delay in the diagnosis of other diseases, and cancer in particular is being diagnosed at later stages than ever, as patients try to avoid going to the hospital to attend prevention tests as mammograms or colonoscopies. So there is a need to move the diagnostic methods outside the hospital. And we believe it is very easy to collect a blood draw at home or at a pharmacy, as we see these days with the COVID-19 diagnostic test.
All right, thank you, Rocio. What about you, Eduardo? Did you notice anything?
Well, it was a complex year. At the very beginning, it was almost not noticeable for us. Besides the funding, we did see an increase in the interest in the company. But from the middle of the year towards the end, we started to see a delay on some. For example, we needed pieces for our technology from China. And it was interesting because there are some materials that are common to some of the masks that are used. So, of course, our pieces were not the priority when all the country needed to perform manufacture masks, right? So we got a little bit of a delay on there, and then laboratories were packed. So it also took us some time to find competitive offers that we could afford at that time. So we did see some. It affected us a little bit, but just top us a couple months delay, not much.
Okay. Well, as you've seen here today, we have a lot of investors in healthcare with us on the screen. So we're in the year 2021. Rocio, talk to me as an investor. What are you going to be doing in 2021? What are the big things that are going to be happening for you, and what do you need?
Well, we would like to identify those individuals who are going to have a cancer in the future, but this year, not only looking at their blood at a molecular level, what we are doing now, but also we would like to look at their medical records, telling them which cancer they are going to have, and looking at their previous diseases, medical history, their level of vitamins, their lifestyle, their weight, their skin conditions. So this year we will start building algorithms by analyzing all those factors through big data tools and combining this with molecular analysis of their blood. So we are planning also this year the US landing to be there next year. We have also part of the team in the US that we would like to incorporate the company there, hopefully soon. And the main challenge for us this year is to start the commercialization of our first product in Spain.
And Rocio, do you need dinero, or do you have enough of that for now?
Of course, as Eduardo said, we always need money because we have many big plans to do clinical trials in the US. So we will probably start a new fundraising in the coming weeks, and we are setting this up.
Okay, great. Eduardo, we know that you're looking to raise money. What else are you going to do for the next year? What are you thinking?
Well, we plan to have runway to get to human trials, not to complete them, but to get to the point where we can start. So that's what we're going to be doing this year. We're going to finish all the electronic testing and the animal trials. We're going to be increasing our business development efforts to try to secure more partners, especially in the pharmaceutical industry, because we believe they will help us in our path towards commercialization. And closer to the end of the year, we will file for the human clinical trials to get the approval from the agency here in Spain. And if everything goes well and we're able to catch up with our timeline, we're expecting to get that approval before the end of the year. But if not, we'll get it in Q1 2022, and we'll raise some funding in there. So yeah, keep a close eye.
All right, great. It looks like it's exciting times for both of you. Thank you very much for joining us today. All right, well, that almost brings us to an end for the South Summit on Healthcare and Wellbeing. But now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the winners. We've had 5 amazing startups, and now we're going to announce the winners. Nacho Mateo from IE University is going to join us to announce the winners. Nacho.
Hello, Paris. Perfect. Now is the time for the big moment. Well, first, before that, let me say that I'm very proud to see our IE alumni with their successful projects going ahead. So congratulations, guys, for everything you are doing. So let's get to the big moment. The winner of the first virtual South Summit of the year is, wait a second, NQ Medical. So congratulations, Richie and all the team. You are now part of the 100 finalists of South Summit 2021. So I'll see you again on the stage in October. Do you want to say some words?
Just thank you very much. I was impressed by all of the companies that presented today, and I'm sure they'll do very well as they move forward. But thank you very much for this honor.
Thank you very much, Richie.
Okay.
Closing words?
Yeah, do you have closing words, Nacho?
No, for you. I mean,
all right. Okay, Nacho. Thank you. So you've heard it. Those are the winners, NQ Medical. So remember to connect tomorrow for the South Summit Biscay Startup Bay, a meetup, which will be really exciting. And for our next encounter in Bilbao, and see you in our next edition of Virtual South Summit Industry 4.0, which is going to be on March 25th. So, from the second ranked most healthiest city in the world, Madrid, we say hasta luego. and we'll see you at the next virtual South Summit. Thank you for joining us.